So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate a tool that I have built, which will help you speed up your Dialogflow Messenger chatbot building process. So the first thing you do is you log into the Botflow app and you go to the Dialogflow Messenger in the menu and then you select Quick Browse. And I'll also point out that this is a paid tool, so you must be logged in. And then once you log in, you find that you can choose the chatbot language, and then you can click on this button to select the Dialogflow agent zip file. So this means that before you use the tool, you should have downloaded the agent zip file from your Dialogflow console using the export agent zip file feature. And I have to point out that this is obviously it is meant for Dialogflow ES. So the thing is, once you select this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the zip files I already have, and what you get when you do that is, notice what is being displayed on the page. The first is it's going to list all the intents in your agent, okay, and then in the table you have two columns. The left column has all this information, the intent name, and then this is the intent name, by the way. And then you have the preview button. I'll talk about that very soon. You have the input contexts which are for this intent, and then the training phrases which are included in this intent, and the output context. And then you see that whatever you have in this parentheses over here is the lifespan of the output context. Okay, and what you see here on this right column is the intent response. So this is the whatever is being sent back from Dialogflow in the payload. Okay, so what happens is when you click on this preview button, you notice that in this widget over here, it displays whatever your bot response is going to be in the Dialogflow Messenger chat widget. So this, whatever this stuff is, this JSON you see over here, that's going to be rendered into this chat widget. So you can do that for all your intents, any intent that you want. And you notice that this gives you a way to quickly browse through all the intents in your Dialogflow Messenger chatbot. So first of all, if you're building a Dialogflow Messenger chatbot, you do understand that the process of doing this through Dialogflow console can be really time consuming because you have to trigger these intents, right? And depending on how far down the follow-up tree you have that intent, it's going to take you quite a few steps to be able to do that. So in this case, what I'm really doing is, when you click on this preview, I just take this payload and I use the built-in feature in the Dialogflow Messenger chat widget, which allows you to render this information into the chat window itself. And that's how it's getting displayed. Nothing is getting transmitted to my Dialogflow agent. Nothing is coming back. There is no like request response, nothing like that. All that is happening here is just a JavaScript call where if you click on this preview button, it just reads whatever is in this payload, and then it uses the existing Dialogflow Messenger JavaScript function, which will allow you to just send a payload to be rendered into the chat widget. That's all is happening. And also notice that if you click on it, it's going to fail because it's not a chat bot in that actual sense. It's just a tool to preview all the payloads in which you have in this agent. That's it. So you can do all that. Okay, and you notice that if you scroll all the way down, there is a section called diagnostics. Okay, so this diagnostics right now is empty and it doesn't show you any information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a different agent, okay, or rather a different zip file, and I'm going to show you that as the example. So here I have one more called, let's see, incomplete. Okay, let's do that. So I exported the agent zip file for a different, for the same agent, except that I deleted one of the intents, which had a response which was necessary for the agent follow-up tree to be complete. And of course, you have all the same set of features. You can preview any of these intent responses and you get all the information, etc. And when you scroll all the way down, you notice that in the diagnostics section, it actually says the suggestion chip no is not handled for input context await underscore has underscore fur. So what this means is the my app, my tool is able to look at all the suggestion chips you have in your Dialogflow Messenger agent. Now, I want to remind you that this is only for static agents. That is, it's not useful for the cases where the rich response is generated dynamically from the webhook, because there is no way for me to read this information in that case. Okay, so that's because the agent zip file doesn't have any information which is dynamically generated, right? It only contains static information. Okay, so with that caveat, what you have here is this diagnostic tool will help you, especially if you're building a fairly complicated follow-up tree, like a decision tree or a phone tree, Dialogflow Messenger chatbot, because instead of having to go and look at every single intent to see if you've actually managed or handled the click of every suggestion chip, you can just use this diagnostics tool and see if you might have missed something. Now, there is a small chance that this will not be 100% accurate. It's sort of going off a string comparison. So if you see this, no, it's case insensitive, so that's fine. But if you have spaces and things like that in your training phrases, like a phrase like start over might sometimes get missed if you have an extra space in the middle. Okay, I'm just pointing that out because this is sort of, you can think of it as a helpful tool, but it's possible that depending on the way you built your agent, it might not be 100% foolproof. So it sometimes it will probably not show like false positives. That is, if you see something here, odds are pretty high that it's well, I can't say that. So, okay, what I'll say is that after you use this as a guide and not like something where you can be absolutely sure that just because it's showing up in the diagnostics, that means it's not being handled. You might want to use this and still go and check your agent to see what is actually going on. But the overall point I'm making is the more complex your follow-up intent tree becomes, the more useful this diagnostics tool will be for you, because if you fail to handle something in your agent, it's better that you catch it using a tool like this instead of having a user find out as they are trying to use your bot. At that point, it usually goes into a fallback intent, and of course that exits the conversation and leads to all kinds of confusion after that, right? So that's the tool. This is going to be most useful when you are having a fairly complicated conversation tree, I would say. That is, your flowchart is somewhat deep. That's where this tool is going to be helpful. I'm not sure if this is going to be very helpful for rich FAQ style bots, which are, mostly they don't have input context and things like that. In that case, I'm not sure if this is going to be particularly useful. You can still give it a shot and see if it helps. So that's the tool I have built, and you can check it out on the app.botflow.com website.